The Chinese Communist Party's Grand Military Parade on September 3rd has just ended, and shortly after, a neighboring communist leader fell. One of the VIPs of the parade stage almost got captured upon returning to his country, and Beijing's dictatorship suffered a hard slap right after the event. On September 9th, the Nepalese Communist Party's government, which has closely followed China's lead in recent years, was overthrown by angry protesters. Many high-ranking officials fled by helicopter, while those who couldn't escape were captured and subjected to various forms of mistreatment. Protesters set fire to the Nepal Communist Party's headquarters, and one protester climbed a flagpole, tore down the party's flag, and threw it to the cheering crowd below. That same day, Nepal's 73-year-old Prime Minister Khadga Prasad Ali, who had just attended the Shanghai Cooperation Summit and the Beijing military parade, announced his resignation. In one video, a high-ranking official attempting to escape by helicopter was seen frantically using a rope to dangle people and valuables below the helicopters. Some viewers were shocked, wondering if this scene involved the Prime Minister and his family. Another video showed an official trying to flee in a car, intending to crash through the protesting crowd. Instead, he was surrounded and stopped by angry protesters. The official then attempted to flee on foot, but was chased and beaten by the protesters. Some Chinese netizens commented that the scene looked all too familiar, comparing these Nepalese officials to Chinese Communist Party officials. They're used to flaunting their power, committing wrongdoings, and ending up in a sad, undignified way. There were more videos showing officials who couldn't escape being captured and tortured by protesters. Some were beaten like rats in the street, while others were stripped down to their underwear and paraded. One video showed a Nepalese official being paraded through the streets. A Nepalese netizen on X reported that the country's finance minister was executed on the street by the protesters, and locals felt like it was a deserved punishment. The protests were initially sparked by dissatisfaction with the social media ban, but quickly escalated into anger against government corruption and the deteriorating economy. Just a week before the protests, the Nepalese government decided to shut down 26 social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, X, and WhatsApp. The authorities argued that the measure was necessary to curb fake news, hate speech, and strengthen security. However, many young Nepalese believe that this measure was an attack on the freedom of speech and digital space rights, equivalent to implementing internet censorship. According to World Bank data, by 2023, 56% of Nepalese people had internet access, with millions of social media users in the country. Nepal's annual GDP is $42.9 billion, and social media content creation contributes $24.8 million in revenue annually. When asked about the ban, Prime Minister Ali stated that national dignity and sovereignty were more important than a few people losing economic income. This statement further angered the young protesters. In the weeks leading up to the ban, a campaign called Nepo Baby was launched on social media, exposing the luxurious lifestyles of politicians' children. On September 8th, many young people who relied on social media platforms for a living organized a peaceful protest in Kathmandu, demanding the removal of corruption and the lifting of the ban. However, the protests quickly escalated into violent clashes. Although the government announced the lifting of the social media ban the following day and confirmed that all social media platforms were restored, the protests did not subside. Public dissatisfaction shifted from the social media ban to widespread accusations of corruption among the political elite. The protests quickly spread to southern and western Nepal, with thousands of protesters taking to the streets of the capital, Kathmandu. The majority of participants were young people born between 1995 and 2010, including some teenagers in school uniforms. They chanted slogans like "Fight corruption, not social media," and "Youth against corruption." Nepalese authorities carried out a bloody crackdown of the protesters, leading to violent clashes between the protesters and security forces. On September 9th, protesters stormed government buildings, the parliament building, and the residences of several high-ranking officials, setting them on fire. Video showed several protesters storming the parliament building, armed with guns they had seized. Another video showed a large number of fully armed Nepalese soldiers arriving, with the angry Nepalese people saying, "The resignation of the Prime Minister won't satisfy us. If we meet him on the street, we'll beat him." Former Prime Minister Khadga Prasad Sharma Oli, who was injured, appeared in the crowd. Some people commented that it was lucky he was protected by soldiers, or else he would have certainly been killed by the angry crowd. In one video, an official was seen hiding in a riverside forest, with protesters chasing him into the trees. The official jumped into the rushing river to escape. Another video showed an official wearing a helmet, wading through the river while fleeing, with protesters behind him kicking and beating him. Further footage showed Prime Minister Ali and several high-ranking officials boarding a helicopter to escape to Kathmandu's international airport, with hundreds of soldiers providing security. Protesters tried to interfere with the helicopter's takeoff, and as of now, these officials' whereabouts remain unknown. By the evening of September 9th, protesters had set fire to the private homes of several prominent party leaders, including Ali's. Thick smoke could be seen rising from the Parliament building and the Singha Durbar, Nepal's main government administrative building, raising concerns that citizens' data and public records might be destroyed. The offices of Nepal's Supreme Court and one of its largest media groups, Kantipur, were also set on fire. As of the evening of September 9th, at least 22 people had been killed and over 300 injured in the riots. The police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowds. The most affected areas, including the Parliament building, were placed under curfew and checkpoints were set up. Despite Ali's resignation, the protests show no signs of calming down. Tens of thousands of protesters were still in the streets later that evening, blocking roads and attacking government buildings. Military helicopters were used to transport some ministers to safe locations. President Ramchandra Paldel accepted Ali's resignation and appointed him to lead a caretaker government until a new one is formed. However, it remains unclear what powers Ali will have, or even where he is. So far, 4 cabinet members have resigned, 3 of whom were from the Nepali Congress Party, which formed a coalition government with Ali's Communist Party. In recent years, China has invested heavily in infrastructure projects in Nepal, including roads, bridges, and hydropower projects. Observers suggest that during the riots, protesters focused on Nepal's corrupt ties with China. One protester revealed that the Nepalese government was involved in corruption amounts reaching millions of dollars in the construction of Pokhara International Airport. The Pokhara Airport is a flagship project under China's Belt and Road Initiative. The project is financed with a $216 million loan from the China Import-Export Bank and is being built by the Chinese state-owned CAMC Engineering. Chinese companies took most of the materials and job opportunities. In 2013, Nepal's Civil Aviation Authority signed an agreement with CAMC International for the construction of the airport. In April 2016, then Prime Minister Ali laid the foundation for the new airport, with the goal of it being operational by July 10, 2021. However, the completion date was repeatedly delayed, and in August 2022, Nepal's Civil Aviation Authority officially announced that the airport would open on January 1, 2023. This newly constructed international airport, once filled with high hopes, now sees very few international flights. By the end of 2023, Nepal's anti-corruption agency began investigating the Pokhara Airport project after receiving multiple complaints about substandard quality and soaring costs. Jane Nishant, a distinguished fellow of the Asia Institute for Diplomacy and International Affairs, stated in an interview with Voice of America, "The blame lies with Nepal's senior political leaders for taking kickbacks while allowing China to finance and build the airport. However, the investigation may just be an effort to appease the angry masses." Vijay Kant Karna, former Nepalese ambassador and chairman of the Kathmandu Center for Social Inclusion and Federalism, said in an interview with Voice of America, "From the beginning, the Pokhara International Airport has been the subject of accusations of corrupt ties between Nepalese political elites, particularly those on the left, and Chinese construction companies." Karna believed that the airport's design had significant flaws and that its quality was largely subpar. He also pointed out that the construction did not comply with public security standards. In April 2025, the Public Accounts Committee of Nepal's parliament released a report indicating that the airport was fundamentally not up to international standards. It used poor construction materials and suffered from corruption and a lack of oversight. In 2026, the grace period for the loan repayment on Pokhara International Airport will end. Nepal's prime minister visited China last year and requested that the loan be converted into a grant, effectively canceling the debt, but it remains unclear how the Chinese government responded. Over the past decade, Nepal has experienced multiple changes in government. The recently resigned Prime Minister Ali is regarded as the founder of the Nepal Communist Party, United Marxist-Leninist. He served 3 terms as prime minister between 2015 and 2025. Ali has long been pro-China and has suppressed ethnic Tibetans. When he returned to power in July 2024, he broke with tradition by choosing Beijing as his first foreign visit instead of India. He advocated for deepening ties with Beijing and collaborating on the Belt and Road Initiative. From August 2025 to September 3rd, Ali visited China, attended the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin, and participated in the military parade in Beijing. Ali, who suffers from kidney disease and has undergone a kidney transplant, frequently travels abroad for medical treatment. He has been criticized as one of the beneficiaries of China's alleged organ diplomacy. After Ali's resignation, Nepal's chief secretary and the head of the security forces issued a joint statement calling for restraint and urging a peaceful resolution through political dialogue. On September 10th, the Nepalese military entered the capital, with a spokesperson stating that they were attempting to stabilize the situation. In another statement, the Nepalese army emphasized their commitment to protecting the people and called for national unity to prevent the situation from escalating. AFP reported that activist and Gen Z protester Rakshya Bam stated that the Prime Minister's resignation represents a victory for the movement, but it's only the first step. Senior political commentator Tang Jingyuan noted that although Nepal is a small country, it's governed by a coalition of communist parties, making its sudden collapse a significant blow to Beijing. He noted that the social conditions and contradictions leading to the change in Nepal were very similar to those in mainland China. For example, the direct trigger for the change was the Nepalese government's decision to ban all social media platforms, mirroring the CCP's actions to suppress freedom of speech. Tang emphasized that other similarities included corruption within the Nepalese Communist Party, the flaunting of wealth by the children of the political elite, poor economic conditions, high unemployment, and widening wealth gaps, all of which fueled public anger. He remarked, "The CCP is definitely reminded of the Jiangyo incident, especially the White Paper movement, where one blank sheet of paper could ignite nationwide protests overnight. It is truly fearful of such movements." Tang also noted that the Nepalese military's neutrality played a crucial role in the government's quick collapse. The military did not intervene directly in the suppression, which allowed the Nepalese government to fall rapidly. The CCP faces a similar crisis. He explained, although the CCP outwardly claims to control the military strictly, everyone knows that there is intense internal power struggle within the military. The actual control lies with Vice Chairman Zhang Youxia. If large-scale protests break out in China, there's no guarantee that the military will follow Xi Jinping's orders, or whether they will help the CCP massacre the people like they did during the 1989 Tiananmen Square accident. This is a big question mark. Chinese scholar Tian Ning stated that while China's situation cannot fully be compared to Nepal's government collapse, reflects the unstoppable tide of liberal democracy, the rule of law, and human rights, and that the CCP's collapse is eagerly awaited. He said, in fact, many in China know full well that the CCP is completely untrustworthy. Since the pandemic, middle and lower level CCP members have become bolder and even openly cursed the CCP, including Xi Jinping. Therefore, it's not impossible for incidents like Nepal's to spark a nationwide movement against the CCP's tyranny. Once this movement starts, the CCP won't be able to stop it. The news of Nepal's political change has sparked interest in China, with the topic trending on September 10th. Some Chinese netizens shared videos of Nepal's finance minister being beaten by protesters on the street. Other videos showed protesters throwing large sums of cash out of the Nepalese energy minister's house. A prominent Weibo influencer admitted to their followers that Nepal's current government was pro-China. A mainland netizen sighed, "The power of freedom. When will such good things happen to us?" On X, many Chinese netizens have been discussing the political change in Nepal, with some suspected to be using VPNs to bypass censorship. Many netizens have drawn connections to Nepal's Prime Minister Ali, who had recently visited Beijing to attend the military parade hosted by Xi Jinping. They said, shaking hands with Xi on the 93rd anniversary, the first victim of the death handshake. This is what happens when you get too close to Xi Jinping. Another old friend has been kicked out. Is this the post-parade effect? The next target is the CCP. It's only a matter of time. I've noticed that China's so-called friends never seem to have a good ending. This will make those 70-year-old big babies very uneasy. A video from a few months ago is currently going viral. In it, a Nepali youth delivers an impassioned speech calling for anti-corruption, anti-privilege, and anti-government actions. Today, the youth of Nepal have succeeded, overthrowing Nepal's communist government. Commentator Tsai Sen-kun remarked, Nepal changed overnight. Authoritarian regimes often crumble in unexpected ways. One mainland Chinese netizen commented, people hope that this change to overthrow the dictatorship will bring a true democratic and free life. It's a blow to the CCP's dictators. They've lost another devil friend. Others said, Nepal's youth have no respect for the evil Axis. Just a few thousand people toppled a communist regime. The VIPs at the 93rd Military Parade must be terrified now, realizing that even Ali, who just had his organs replaced, can't withstand a punch. Once the communist dictatorship is accounted for, even replacing organs won't save him.